Welcome back to the channel and welcome to day 5 of our Car Care Tech Week. Today we're going to tackle the interior cleaning and deal with that tough job of odor removal.
Nessa, what did you eat?
The horse is gassy. Must have been the beefarino.
Well, it looks like you could use some odor removal right now, Keith.
Yeah, I'll be okay. But honestly, I think odor removal is going to be a useful topic for anybody for a variety of reasons. So why don't we just go ahead and jump into this topic from the beginning?
Well, okay. So interior cleaning has always been something that I've kind of dealt with in a, if I have time kind of perspective, right? Because let's face it, when you drive down the street and you're cruising the boulevard, people are looking at the paint and the tires and the wheels and all that. Very seldom are they able to look into your car and say, oh my gosh, that guy didn't clean his vents or wipe his dash down. So it's always been kind of in that category.
Yeah, makes sense. I think it's the same kind of psychology. Like when I was a little kid, I used to, clean my room, and sometimes that involved just kind of shoving stuff under my bed. Now that I say that, I think my mom does watch this channel every once in a while. I hope... Mom, I'm just kidding. This was just a rhetorical example. I didn't actually do that. Think she bought that?
I wouldn't count on it. She's pretty smart.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, it is what it is, I get it. You focus on what people can see. But, you gotta at least periodically deal with the interior. Because if you don't, over time, it's going to build up and make it much harder when you do eventually get to that task.
And that brings us to my wife's minivan. So we've owned it since 2014 and put over 160,000 miles on it. And in that time, we vacuumed it and wiped the dash down, but it hasn't really had that deep cleaning. Never shampooed the carpets, any of that stuff. Really deep dived into it. And I can tell you the latch points, I'll put a photo up for you, but the latch points where the seats connect are just downright disgusting.
Oh, geez. I think I'm going to need a minute.
Oh, I probably should have warned you before I put that photo up. My bad.
Okay, I think I'm better now. It does underscore the fact that you kind of do need to stay on top of this stuff every once in a while or it can get away from you. So let's do this again. Let's start top to bottom on the inside of the car so that it not just looks good, but also smells good.
Sounds good. So let's not discount the impact that cleaning our cars inside is going to have on the odor. Let's face it, food breaking down, especially over the hot summer months, is going to add a certain fragrance to your car.
Yeah, there's a lovely thought. So let's start with the basics. We're going to remove the loose items before we get started on the vacuuming.
Absolutely. I've seen videos where people are using air compressors as kind of a first step, and I don't really care for that. Eventually it's going to all work out fine, but what you end up doing is basically creating a bunch of airborne particles. Some of that is going to fly all over, end up on the carpet. So I just as soon, get rid of everything that we can, all the trash, all the loose debris on the carpets, anything in the cup holders, all of those different places that things collect as a first step. Then we can start talking about some of the other steps like air compressors and such.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you there. I think that makes sense, starting with vacuuming and picking up the loose stuff and all the burger wrappers or whatever they are. Yeah, I can only imagine using the air compressor and getting all this stuff back in your vents and in your eyes and ugh.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, so after vacuuming, this is where we can use an air compressor and get to work on that. And I would recommend that you take all of your floor mats and just completely remove them from the vehicle, set them on the driveway, take them outside. And if you don't have an air compressor to work on the floor mats, then at least take a brush and start dislodging stuff that way.
This is the stage where we can start working on some of our hard surfaces. And so we're going to be using some cloths as well as brushes to get into those detailed areas. You can use your favorite cleaner. What we're going to be talking about using is a product called Super Clean. You can buy this either pre-mixed or as a concentrate that you would dilute either to a 4 or a 10 to 1 Always color fast any of those solutions before you put it everywhere, because you don't want to find out the hard way it has an adverse reaction in your interior.
Okay, yeah, so you can use the cleaner of your choice, whether it's super clean like we're using or whatever else. And you can work from top to bottom, right? I do recommend working on all of your hard surfaces, but go top to bottom. And that way, if stuff gets knocked off as you go, it just goes to the floorboards, which you're just going to get to later anyway. And I believe, Bruce, you have some video showing some of the different size brushes that can be used and showing those in action as well.
Exactly, Keith. So we're going to work on all those surfaces that are above the seats and the carpeting of the car first. Once those surfaces are clean, we can turn our attention to the seats, the carpets, and the mats.
Yeah, so, your seats sit above the floor, obviously. So starting with those, if you have leather or fabric seats, you're going to go one of two different directions. You're going to use a leather cleaner followed up by a protectant if you have leather seats, or you're going to use a fabric seat cleaner or possibly a spot cleaner extractor for, those situations. So let's show the leather cleaning process in a video.
All right, so we're going to take a look at the brushes that I have available. Here are two of them. I think they're going to work well for the size job that we have here. One of the kits has 3 brushes included. The other one has 11, so it's a very large kit. You can really decide which one works best for you based on your need. So you can see there's actually a little bit of debris still left in this cup holder area. So I'm just going to give it a little blast of super clean. And then I am going to just use the brush, try and work that into that area. I think that particular spot is pretty stubborn. And then let's check our upper area here. Looks like we had a piece of straw wrapper or something that was in there, and that looks pretty good. Looks like there's just a couple of pieces of debris in there. But that's how you use the brushes. You can use these brushes for both your tires and your interior. You can use it in areas like these vents, right? So you can dig that in there to get that dust out of those areas. You can even spray the super clean on the brushes, put it in there. You can spray it right on the vents themselves, and then just brush those out and get a lot of that dust and debris that is really hard to reach in there. These brushes are super soft. So that is it. And again, I'll have links to the various kits that I have. I have 2 different kits. One was a 15-piece kit. It has a whole variety of sizes, even some ones that are more of a microfiber cloth attachment. And then the other one are more traditional, just bristle brushes, and there's 3 different sizes. So unfortunately, my daughter went off to college and took her Camry with her. That was the only car we have with cloth seats, so I won't be able to cover the cloth seat cleaning, but we are going to be using the Bissell cleaner on our carpets, both the floor mats and the carpet of the car. So it's a very similar process if you're going to clean the seats. On the leather seats, we'll go ahead and take a look at that. And all of our cars have leather seats, so all of them are going to get that same leather cleaner along with the protectant. Now, the cleaner that I'm using for the carpet is a product called 3D. It's designed for interiors and the carpeting. And so we can use that in the Bissell. We will have the Bissell model that I'm using linked below, or at least one similar. Ours is quite old now. And I do recommend, they make the model with or without heat. I recommend adding the heat because heat is going to help in that process of cleaning and extracting the dirt from those surfaces you're cleaning. Now, if you don't have one of those Bissell spot cleaners to utilize, they make some very good foaming cleaners that you can just spray on both your interior and on your carpets, your floor mats, and then they're designed to be vacuumed up.
Wow, so you have a dedicated spot cleaner just for the car. Impressive.
No, I actually don't. The cleaner that I have is actually designed to be a home carpet and spot cleaner, and it just happens to work perfectly for cloth seats, for floor mats, and the carpeting in the automobiles.
Ah, I see. It's another one of these dual purpose or multi-purpose items here, right? You can use it for the car, but if someone spills something in the house, you can use it for that too. Awesome.
Yes, and if you do it right, you could probably even convince Jen, I mean our viewers, could convince their spouses that they need one of these in order to clean up, those household spills or the pet accidents and that happen in the home.
Yeah, I could even do this right now, right? Our viewers could do this right now, right this second.
Well, I mean our viewers, should probably wait until after the episode is done. But they could use the link that I have included in the description to purchase the model with or without the heating included.
Yeah, I think I might. I mean, they might. Our viewers will probably do something like this right after the episode.
Okay, let's take a look at the carpet. One of the things that we're going to make sure that we do is any fluid that we spray into the carpet, we're going to make sure that we go over at least twice. So spray once, at least go on removal mode twice. One of the reasons we want to do this is just make sure that we're extracting all the dirt we possibly can. But the bigger thing is extracting that moisture. We don't want that moisture to stay in that carpeting, in our mats, because that's something that if it doesn't dry well, could actually end up creating odor. As you are extracting the water or moisture from the carpets, mats, and such, pay attention to the color of that fluid that's coming out. So on the Bissell anyway, you can see that waste tank collector filling up, and that color of the water, it can get, if you've got really bad carpets like what we're going to see with our van, that color of the water can be brown all the way to almost a black color. So as you are extracting it, most of the extraction heads have a clear portion so you can see the color of the fluid coming out. As you are moving towards that being very much clear or very little color to it, you know that you've reached the point where you no longer need to clean the carpet.
Yeah, that makes sense. So as you're operating the extractor, you're pulling the water out. If it's still black, I guess that's your clue. You need to keep doing it. You need to repeat a second, a third, maybe even a fourth pass until eventually the water that's being extracted is not black.
That's correct, Keith. And you could reach the point where you need to mix up some more solution in your extractor. And if you do so, make sure that you also empty the waste tank at the same time. This is a couple-fold reason. One, maybe the waste tank is not all that full yet, but you're going to want to match, when you are putting a new solution in with that waste tank so that, again, you can better monitor what color of the water is as you're extracting it. So that's going to help you. Plus, you're not going to run the risk that you actually overflow the waste tank because you've, been collecting more water out and you've put more into that carpet than your tank can actually hold.
All right, so I have a thought here. Stick with me. I suspect that all of this deep cleaning of the carpets, for example, is going to actually remove some of the sources of these odors to begin with.
You are correct. And unfortunately, sometimes that's not enough. So in my particular example, we purchased a car that wasn't disclosed that it was a smoker's car. And I think they had, done some things to treat the odor, but over time it started to come back again. And so that's one of the things that, I needed to take care of. Then we had the unthinkable happen, right? I made a run to the gas station to get gas for the lawnmower, and we got a gas spill. And the gas spill, my wife will tell you, is actually far, far worse than the cigarette smell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds bad. Sounds really bad. So what can we do about odors like that?
My 2015 Taurus represents a odor nightmare to address. So let's talk about the steps that we'll take to try and eliminate any odors in your car. And depending on how severe they are, what type of odor it is, where it's penetrated to, is going to determine the steps that you need to do in order to try and eliminate that odor. And at the end of the day, we may or may not be completely successful in eliminating the odor, we may be able to knock that down some amount. Maybe 50% is a great goal. Maybe you can completely eliminate it. So it's good to go in with realistic expectations. Things that are particularly tough are going to be cigarette smoke and gasoline. So depending on how long those odors have been in contact with the vehicle, right? So if you spilled gas and didn't remove the source of that gas in the car, that's going to be harder to get rid of because you need to remove the source of that odor, which is the current spill in whatever surface it is. With respect to cigarette smoke, the longer the car has been smoked in and the more it's been smoked in, the harder it's going to be to get rid of that, and you may never be able to get rid of it. You may have to, look at the situation and decide that you need to get a professional that's trained in removing cigarette smoke or eliminating as much of cigarette smoke as possible. So let's talk about some steps. First and foremost, it's a good idea to clean the entire interior of your car. So that's going to be your mats, even if they're rubber. It's going to be your carpeting, because that's a surface that can absorb odors and hold those in. It's going to be all of your soft surfaces that aren't carpeted, so that's going to be your leather, your cloth seating. If you can, you want to treat your headliner. And once you get those surfaces all completely cleaned and you've done everything you can on that front, there's a few things you can do. One, very simple household item, most people actually have it sitting around in their fridge perhaps, or maybe in a cabinet, is you can use baking soda. Sprinkle that onto the carpeting and the other surfaces in your car. Let that soak in for a bit and then vacuum that up. That may eliminate the odor, right? That's why we put baking soda into our refrigerators in the first place, is to absorb odor. If that doesn't do the trick, then you can start doing things like, if it's just an airborne odor, then perhaps a product like Febreze, right, where it's not designed to cover up odors, but try and actually eliminate the source of those odors in the air, getting rid of that. You may also need to try the Febreze fabric, and you can put this, potentially on your fabric surfaces, the carpeting, even your headliner, although it's harder to spray in that, and that may help, again, eliminate some of that source of odor. Another item that I've used before is ozone, and it comes with several scents. This is the original scent, and the idea here is it's trying to eliminate the smoke and other types of odors. It's more powerful than the Febreze air is. So if all of this doesn't work, right, and I've got the upholstery soap up here, because just a reminder, when we're cleaning up our cars, we can use the upholstery and carpet soap either with an extractor and mixed in. We can also use the extractor, which is plain water, and mix up the solution, dilute it, spray it on the surfaces, scrub it in, and then use an extractor to pull that out, or you could potentially even use a shop vac. So I do have my extractor sitting in the back seat. We have our vacuum here. We're going to completely clean the interior of the Taurus. We've shown a lot of these steps before, so I'm probably just going to skip over those steps. And then lastly, because I've done all these things before, but I'm going to try one more time, is we've got an ozone machine. And this is kind of like the nuclear option, if you will. An ozone machine is something that is not a toy. It's a very powerful tool. It produces ozone, which attaches to and eliminates odor. You need to be out of the vehicle. So that's why the vehicle is outside right now, because I don't want to even run this in the garage. You want to set this for the minimum amount of time that you possibly can. I'm actually going to try another 30-minute treatment. I tried a 15-minute treatment before and then added another 15 minutes because I thought it needed it. My wife still says she can smell both the gasoline and the cigarette smoke. So I don't know how much that is really the odor is lingering versus her believing that the odor is lingering, but either way, perception is reality for her. And so we're going to go ahead and treat the car an additional time And at that point, we're probably going to throw up our arms and say this is the best that it can possibly be. So I'm going to go through those steps. I will cover in depth setting up the ozone machine. This one is an Enerzen model. There's a lot of them that are very similar design. It's got a timer, and when we set this up, we'll actually get it in the car, ready to go, set the timer, everything all ready. I'll shut the cord through the door, and then I'll plug this in once I'm out of the vehicle because, and we've given you the warning already, but you do not want anything that you want to be alive at the start of this process and still alive at the end in the vehicle with this running. Or you can use this in your home, so it's not just for the car, but you can use this in your home, in small rooms. Maybe there's been a spill, there's an odor there, pet problem, whatever. You can use this product for that. So let's go ahead and dig in and get this car hopefully free of odor. We've reached the phase where we're going to go ahead and use our ozone machine. So I am going to preset the timer to 30 minutes. I always recommend with all of these rudimentary timers going past the time and then coming to where you want. We're going to go 30 minutes. Let's talk a little bit about what I'm going to do in terms of the actual operation here. So I'm just going to run this here. I've got the seats folded down. I don't know if you could see that in the video or not, but I have the seats folded down so that the trunk area is exposed, because that's one of the areas that did have exposure to the gasoline. Actually, it's the primary area that had exposure to the gasoline. The entire cabin had exposure to the cigarette smoke. And so what I'm going to do is actually start the car, run the heat full blast for the entire time that is going, and put it on recirc so that I'm not pulling fresh air in and trying to add ozone to that. I'm going to actually just get to the point where the ozone is saturating that environment for those 30 minutes. So again, heat on, full blast, recirc in the car is going to be sealed up, no windows cracked or anything like that. When we are done, we'll talk about this some more, but when we're done, we'll actually open the car up, let it air out for about 15 minutes to just get that residual ozone out of the cabin. So I'm going to go ahead, jump in here and start the car and then get everything set up for that. So I'm going to turn the temperature up to high. I'm going to put it on recirc. I'm going to put the fan on. Okay. So then I'm going to shut this door. And that's just my car warning me. And I'm going to plug the ozone machine in. And I'm going to peer inside, make sure that the light has come on, which it did. So that light indicates that the machine is running. The car is sealed. And we're going to let this go for the 30 minutes. And then we're going to come out and check on this, see if we've got the results that we want. But there's really not much to watch while this is going.
Okay, a lot of that, or at least some of that, I'm pretty familiar with. But that last thing, an ozone machine, did I hear that right?
You certainly did.
Yeah, I'm kind of remembering these old car race tracks, right, where you pieced them together and they had little metal channels so that the cars would race on them, and it kind of made an ozone smell. Could we just set one of those up in the car and just run it for a few hours?
Yes, you heard correctly. And this is another multi-purpose device. So we can use this in the home. We can also use this in your automobile.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I like the tip about running the heater to get the airflow through the vents.
Now as well, after you've done this, I would recommend replacing your cabin filter. Cabin filters are fairly cheap, but they're also a place that odor, whether it be tobacco or gasoline, any kind of odor, can get trapped in that air filter. So replace that cabin filter while you're doing this process. It's just kind of a good 1-2 punch.
Yeah, my wife's sense of smell is much stronger than mine as well. At some point, right, it's possible that you're never going to get it totally odor-free on your own. It's possible, right? And so at some point, you may need to call in the professionals, right? We may as well just say it. They have special tools and special chemicals that hairy homeowners like us won't have, even if we have fancy ozone machines. So that is going to remain an option on the table.
Yes, absolutely, Keith. That's a great point. I mean, be safe and know your limits, right? There's nothing, nothing wrong with hiring a professional if you've got the money to do so. That's not going to take away your weekend warrior status, right? So, know when it's time to call in the pros. I mean, that's not a sign of weakness. I think that's a sign of strength.
Yeah, and I think I've learned that lesson a long time ago, that I actually feel like if I hire a professional to do something, I actually still get the same high as if I've done it myself. Somehow that works. But I believe that we've actually forgotten a step.
Geez. Let me check my notes. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that I've missed or forgotten, Keith. What did we leave out?
It is an option. Just remove the teenagers and the dogs from your car.
Oh gosh, that's probably the most important step. Do you know another important step?
Oh, I don't know. Is it applying a protectant to the hard surfaces of the car? And is it closing out the episode?
Nailed it. So we have a good protectant to apply to all of the surfaces that we've just cleaned, and that's going to help our cleaning job last just a little bit longer.
Let me guess. Link in the description.
Yes, and I want to thank everyone for joining us for our 5th installment of our Car Care Tech Week. We have 3 information-packed episodes left in the series.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to those. And you know what else I'm looking forward to is you, viewer, pressing the like button right now. Do it.
Absolutely. And while you're at it, how about, you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and press the bell so that you get notified when we release those new episodes in this series.
And lastly, for Keith and Bruce, we look forward to seeing you on the 6th episode of our Car Care Tech Week extravaganza, where we're going to review next an orbital polisher. Thanks.